Welcome back to my channel. Let's start. In this film, a pitch by promoting chief Danny Moore, the motorsport division of Nissan lays out the GT foundation to enlist gifted players of the dashing test system Gran Turismo and move them toward genuine hustling drivers. Moore initiates previous driver-turned-specialist Jack Salter to prepare the players. Salter is at first reluctant, however acknowledges subsequent to feeling burnt out on the self-importance of his group's driver, Nicholas Capa. In the meantime, Jann Mardenborough, a teen retail representative and gamer from Cardiff, Ridges, is an enthusiastic player of the test system and needs to turn into a dashing driver, in spite of the dissatisfaction with regards to his previous footballer father. At some point, Jann learns he is qualified for a capability competition to join the GT Institute, subsequent to establishing a point-in-time record for a specific track. The night prior to his race, Jann is welcomed by his sibling Kobe to a party, and the siblings take their dad's vehicle. Jann plays with a young lady called Audrey. The get-together is disbanded after police show up, and Jann starts a pursuit subsequent to heading out when their companions are pulled over. The siblings escape, yet are discovered returning by their dad. Jann is assumed to his dad's position of work the following morning, trying to be shown a daily existence example, however leaves right on time to participate in the passing race, which he wins, procuring a spot in GT Foundation. At the Foundation camp, Salter drags the contenders through hellfire in various tests, through which 10 contenders are reduced to 5. During a test, Jann crashes with Salter in the vehicle, and cases the brakes were coated, later demonstrated right by examiners shockingly. The XS5 contend in a last competition to figure out who will address Nissan. Jann barely comes out on top in the race against American contender Matty Davis, however Moore demands Davis ought to be picked as the delegate because of his better business feasibility. Nonetheless, Jann is picked at Salter's demand. Jann is informed that assuming he wraps up something like 4th in any of a progression of qualifying races, he will procure an expert permit and agreement with Nissan. He completes rearward in his most memorable expert race after Capa taps him out of control, and in spite of bit-by-bit working on over the course of the following couple of races, doesn't complete the penultimate race. He goes to Dubai for his last passing race, during which Capa takes a corner excessively quick and accidents. In spite of the trash from the crash breaking his windshield, Jann accomplishes a 4th spot finish and procures his permit. He goes to Tokyo with Moore and Salter to sign his agreement, and utilizations his marking reward to fly his crush Audrey to Tokyo, during which time they start a relationship. Jann's most memorable race in the wake of marking is at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. He begins the race well, and keeps an elevated place until the front of his vehicle lifts high up at the Flugplatz corner, hitting a hindrance and sending off into a packed observer region. The fact that an onlooker was killed makes Jann hospitalized and informed. Hesitant to get back to hustling after the accident, Salter returns him to the Nürburgring, during which he uncovers he was engaged with a deadly mishap at 24 hours of Le Mans, which prompted his retirement from driving. A request gets Jann free from any bad behavior, however proficient opinion starts to betray sim drivers, in light of which Moore chooses a sim driver group ought to contend at Le Mans and finish on the platform to demonstrate their reasonability. Moore enrolls Davis, an individual GT Institute member Antonio Cruz, to make up the 3-driver group close by Jann. On race day, Jann's dad apologizes for not at first being steady of his interests. From the get-go in the race, Jann is left shaken after another contender's vehicle crashes and bursts into flames, yet is supported through his most memorable shift by Salter playing Wobbler and Orinoco Stream through the vehicle's correspondence framework, which Jann had recently utilized as persuasive music during preparing. Davis and Cruz complete their most memorable movements without issue, however Cruz is gotten from his last meeting right on time due to encountering cramps. A wheel nut loosens up in the pit region, making Jann lose a few positions. He digresses from encouraged dashing lines to recover his positions, breaking the opposition lap record simultaneously. Yet again the last lap sees Jann set in opposition to Capa, with Jann barely in front on the last directly to procure 3rd spot, and a platform finish for Nissan. In the epilogue, the genuine Jann Mardenborough is shown having contended in north of 200 races and filled in as his own trick twofold in the film. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe.